Oh, hello again, and welcome back. Today we are talking about how to not get overwhelmed with this crazy thing we call planning and planner decorating. I know when I started out, I was super overwhelmed, and there's just so much information and so many people and so many different ideas and stickers and stuff that I spent too much money and I got really overwhelmed, and I kind of lost sight of the purpose of a planner and the general direction I wanted to go in. So in today's video, I'm just going to share a couple of different ways to not get super overwhelmed when you're starting off planning or you're deep into planning and you're just feeling the stress. These are ways to take a moment and calm yourself down and remember the fun things about planning. So my first suggestion before we even get really into the actual planner and all that, don't join tons of Facebook groups. Join one or two smaller ones that you can really relate to that are really fun, because if you join 5 or 10, you're going to be so overwhelmed. Your Facebook will be so clogged, for lack of a better word, with planning stuff that you're just gonna think about it all the time. I know I think about it all the time, but it's like my job. But you don't want to have every aspect of your online life and personal life and work life just revolve around this one thing, if that makes sense. You want to have variety, and making sure that you only join a couple Facebook groups means you aren't spending every second of your day constantly thinking about planning, because that's going to make you want to get stuff. So if all of the Instagrams you follow or whatever are just planning related, you're going to be so planner conscious that as soon as you see something new, you're going to want it. So kind of remove yourself. Don't join all the Facebook groups, and only join ones that you can really relate to, maybe like the ones in your area or specific groups that you feel connected to. Join those and you'll feel already 100 times better. All right, getting into the actual planner and my recommendations. Let's just do this July spread. Okay. So I highly recommend figuring out your system before getting stickers. So figuring out what you want your planner to accomplish will help guide you towards which stickers you should purchase, so you're not wasting time or energy or money buying things you don't need. So this layout is based on when I was still working my full-time job. And I figured out a system that I put all the blog posts at the bottom, which I started doing again. So there's all the blog posts down there. The top section's for work, because from 8 to 5, I was at work. And then the bottom section was anything personal, oh hello related. For this period in my life, that worked really well. So you have to think, what are the things that I do? Make these like sections and categories. This is another tip that kind of goes hand in hand with how to not get overwhelmed. So make sections and categories of your life. So what are the things that you do? Do you work? Do you have a full-time job? Okay, that's a section. Are you a stay-at-home mom? If you are, that requires doing stuff with your kids. So there's like a kids section. Maybe you have a side business, so you want a section for the side business, but you also go to school. So make a list of all of the big categories. These are like my reverse air quotes. The big categories in your life. And try to get it down to like 3 or 4, because that'll work the best in the planner. So once you have those sections figured out, you can start working on a system. This is not a good planner to show you, because I had been planning for a little bit once I did this. But once you have your system, do just pen or a couple of stickers, because I'm sure by this point you couldn't resist ordering stickers. I completely understand. I totally feel you. So at this point, get your system set up. Try it out for a couple of weeks, and then create a list as you go along of types of stickers you would find most helpful. So if you work full-time, maybe doing to-do lists would be helpful. So write to-do lists on your shopping wish list. So you know that, like, okay, I need to write that stuff down, and then figure out what kind of system works for you. Doing that ahead of time, instead of just buying a bunch of stickers and trying to figure out what works once you've already spent hundreds of dollars, it'll make you much less worrisome. Most of us have already used a planner before we get our Erin Condren and before we started planner decorating. So we kind of have a system in mind, but if you're like me, I change my system every 3 or 4 months. So figuring it out and then pursuing stickers and getting that kind of stuff is the proper order that'll keep you sane and not so stressed out. My final thing to keep you from getting overwhelmed is to work really hard at keeping it affordable. As I said before, creating the system and figuring out what sections you need, doing that for a couple weeks, and then creating a list of what stickers you find to be most helpful, that is the best way to keep things affordable. From there, you can decide if you want to do weekly themes, but for a while, I was just trying to keep it as functional as I could with stickers thrown in and less about the themes. So your collection of stickers will get bigger over time, but focusing on being as savvy and affordable as possible will really help your stress levels. Nothing makes someone feel more overwhelmed than when they have a giant pile of stickers they're not sure how to use and a boyfriend, husband, significant other that is annoyed with you. That's a little overwhelming. I also highly suggest watching videos like this one and watching Plan With Me's to really help figure out your style and what makes you happy about planning and what you can get the most out of it. Honestly, the most important thing to do to not get overwhelmed is to just stay focused on why you wanted to plan in the first place. Sure, it's really fun to follow other planners and see what everybody else is doing, but at the end of the day, remember why you started and just do your own thing. I wrote a blog post about this yesterday. It's been really important to my sanity lately to think about this concept of doing your own thing and what that means. So you could completely ignore everything I said. You could be totally fine and not feel overwhelmed if you join a lot of Facebook groups and get stickers and then figure out your system. But at the end of the day, as I said, it's your planner and it needs to work for you. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by the entire community and everything that's going on, if you're just starting out, this is the best way to get the most out of your planning, and then you can change and adapt as things go along. I think that's going to be it for today's video. I've just been flipping through past spreads to kind of show you how things have changed and all that stuff. But I hope you guys aren't getting too overwhelmed with planning, and I really sincerely hope that this video is just a waste of time. You're like, I'm not overwhelmed, I'm great. But if there are people overwhelmed out there, leave discussion in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out a way to make planning work for you in a way that you love it just as much as I do. And yeah, that's it. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!